All right, good evening and welcome. Today is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. We're convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education. We are meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah. The time is about 7:05 p.m. And we will begin with a roll call. We'll start down here on my right with Derek.
Derek Anderson, Business Administrator.
Gina Hales, Board Member.
Jennifer Partridge, Board Member.
Rebecca Nielsen, Board Vice President.
Melanie Hall, Board President.
Keith Ertel, Superintendent.
McKay Jensen, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
Nate Bryson, Board Member.
All right, is there a motion to convene?
I move that we convene our business meeting.
All right, we are now in our business meeting. I'm going to turn the time over to Gina Hales for our opening remarks.
All right, this will be short. First of all, I want to congratulate Timpview High School girls volleyball team who took state. I'd like to take partial credit for that because my cousin's the coach. That counts.
My daughter's on the JV.
They won because of me. They didn't. But congratulations to the Timpview girls for winning their state. Today is Election Day, and I'm a big proponent of using our voices to vote. So I have a couple of quotes here. And then we can move on. This is by John Lewis. The vote is precious. It is almost sacred. It is the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society, and we have to use it. So I hope that everybody, I think the polls, do they close at 8? You still have time. So if you're watching this, it's more important that you go vote. I hope that we use it. And then the second one is by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education. To prepare each citizen to choose wisely and to enable him to choose freely are paramount functions of the schools in a democracy. And I really feel this. I hope that we are all, and I believe that we are all taking this very seriously and trying to choose wisely. We have 4 seats up, I think, for election or re-election. On the school board. I've had lots of texts and phone calls, not just from our district, but from surrounding districts wanting my opinion. So it's heartening to me that people are paying attention to school board races nowadays. We'll have at least one new member on the board, and I look forward to working with the at least one new member. And I want to thank those who are serving currently, who may not be, and one we know for sure will not be serving with us, Nate. But thank them for their service. I have vehemently disagreed with everybody sitting up here on at least one issue. But one thing, and I've disagreed with the way we've done things, I've disagreed with all kinds of things. Everybody up here knows that. I'm trouble. And one thing that I have not seen is a disregard for what the students need, or even what the staff need. We disagree on how we should do those things. We sometimes disagree on the way that we should be handling certain things or doing certain things, but one thing I've never seen is a complete disregard, or even a slight disregard, for what it is that we think that the students need and that our employees need and that our community needs. And so despite the fact that I am sometimes disagreeable, I would like to thank those who have served and who will not be coming back, for at least one of us. And look forward to working with the new board members, at least one who will be coming on. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Board Member Hales. Next, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd like to invite Lucy Clement and Peter Clement to come up. You can pull it down.
Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you so much for doing that for us this evening. What a special treat. All right, next we're going to have our employee recognition. I'm going to turn the time over to Jason Cox for our Provo Way Awards.
We love it when students participate. That was awesome. Thank you.
want to just start off by thanking the board for this opportunity again to recognize some really wonderful people. I'm going to ask that you please stand up when I read your name. Tonight, for our Provo Way Awards, we're recognizing Christine Durst, Claudia Barrias, Amy Adair, Roberta Loftus, and Rosa Fresia. So let's give them a round of applause. We'll go ahead and watch the video that we put together, but afterwards we'd love to give the board members an opportunity to thank you personally. And so we'll go through the video and then I'll give you a little bit more explanation at that point.
So Rosa does really amazing work. She's our secretary here at Sunrise Preschool. She's also our registrar. She's so great at connecting with staff, with students, parents, and family members, and with the community as a whole. She always has such a positive attitude. She's very proactive with helping others, and she goes above and beyond what's asked of her. She has such a positive influence on our culture of our school.
Amy's an incredible employee here at Provo High. She makes Provo High so fun to work at. Just getting to know her over these past 2 years, she is so loving to everyone, sends out emails to employees that say, "Love y'all, just to remind you, we love y'all," and really, she creates a wonderful atmosphere here at Provo High, and for that, we will forever be grateful.
Amy has been a wonderful member of our office team. We know that if we need something done, we can go to her, and she's always going to do it with a smile. She's amazing at what she does and is always friendly and a good face of the front office here.
A gente, eu e a professora Loftus, a gente trabalha já 10 anos juntas.
They've been working together for the past 10 years with Professor Loftus.
E o trabalho que ela tem feito, especialmente nos 3 últimos anos com phonics.
And especially these last 3 years, they've been working really hard on phonics.
E tem sido fantástico. E eu tenho visto isso nos meus alunos, porque eu sou professora de 2ª série.
And so she's been able to see the difference as they've been working on phonics, because she's the 2nd grade teacher and gets the kids from Professor Loftus.
É incrível o amor que ela tem, a dedicação no trabalho e como professora de 1ª série, porque particularmente eu nunca conseguiria fazer o trabalho que a professora Loftus faz.
And it's especially incredible what she does as the 1st grade DLI teacher, because she takes you guys from knowing English and to getting to learn Portuguese. And she said, that's such hard work. I don't know if I could do it.
E só lembrando que amo você mais do que chocolate.
Okay, she said she loves her more than chocolate. And I would love to just say that we are so lucky to have Roberta Loftus at Lakeview. And you can even see just as we've come in, she has her learning target on the board. She's working so hard on phonics, and she has the most calm and quiet demeanor, but she is also a fantastic and enthusiastic teacher. It's such a wonderful balance. So we are so grateful that we have Professor Loftus.
Claudia does so much for so many families since she started working for the district. The impact that she has made, especially with the Latino community, how much she has helped so many families just to have the necessities of supporting their children and to be able to provide opportunities to show our Latino students their talents that they can grow and develop to become strong men and women in their community. So Claudia, just the impact that she's made for the district is huge, and we're really grateful for her and her dedication and what she does as an employee of Provo City School District.
I began working as the librarian of Provost Elementary about 11 years ago. And when I first started, I was overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work that needed to be done. See, there was no lesson plans, thousands of books that needed to be weeded, and programs that were waiting to be implemented. As soon as Christine found out about my struggles, she offered to help. She supplied lesson plan materials, helped weed out the books, and tutored me how to fit everything into the time that I was allotted. Honestly, if it wasn't for her help and encouragement, I probably would have quit years ago. And even after all of those years, she still consistently stops by to see how I'm doing, bringing a treat or pick me up with her. That's just how Christine is. She wants those around her to know that she cares about them. Recently, she planned and executed an enormous event called AuthorCon. From calling authors and publishing companies to prepping materials for thousands of students to make book crafts, she did it all. And she did it with a positive attitude. Not once do I remember hearing her complain or grumble about how much time and work she was putting into this event. And then when authors started to back out or things didn't go quite the way she expected them to, she still managed to stay cheerful and optimistic. And I think it was because she was doing this to enrich the lives of the students in the Provo School District. She wanted to do something special for them, and because she honestly cared about each one of them. This and so many other reasons is why I nominated Christine Durst for the Provo Way Award.
Now to give the board the opportunity to thank you personally. So if you don't mind, we'll have you come up and start right over here, and we'll just have you go along and allow each one of them to thank you personally. So come on up, Amy, be brave. Come on, Christine, I know you, you're brave. Come on up.
Appreciate you, Amy. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking care of Provo High.
Good job, girls.
Thank you.
So much. Good job, Chris.
Always one of the best parts of our business meeting is getting to recognize these wonderful employees at our school district. So thank you again. Next, we're going to have a school report, Westridge Elementary, and I'm going to turn the time over to Kim Hawkins, the principal there.
Thank you, President Hall and the superintendent and the school board for allowing me to be here tonight to share with you Westridge Elementary and our story. I'm very excited to talk to you about Westridge and how amazing it is. Maybe I'll tell you our story. Okay, so at Westridge we have 3 values. And is it just forward back? Okay. Being respectful, being responsible, and being safe. Our mission is that we want every child to enjoy school. We want them to engage in learning, and we want them to achieve at high levels. We want to use our curriculum and our STEM process to make sure that students are learning and preparing to be ready for the world with 21st century skills and with knowledge. And so maybe I'll have you. Where do I point? Am I pointing in the wrong spot? Okay. All right, I'll just look at you. All right, so at Westridge we have 619 students. And our demographics, it looks like I apologize, it looks like it's kind of off on the presentation up here. Will you go back one? So our demographics, we have 70% of our students are Caucasian. And we have about 13% of our students are English language learners or multilingual learners, depending on the new phrase that we're using. Next. This one? Okay. Okay, wait, back. All right, okay, I think I'm ready. Here we go. We have 12% of our students that have IEPs, and 36% of our students are on free or reduced lunch. So I put this slide in here. I wanted to show you kind of our class size. And you can see how many teachers are on each grade level. The numbers off to the side on the right are the number of students in each class. So you can see that our kindergarten numbers are very high. We have 28 5-year-olds in each class. So we have 2 all-day classes this year and then a morning kindergarten class. So that grade level and our 4th grade are very high in numbers. So I want to take you to our RISE assessment for actually the 2021 school year. I wanted to just throw this in so you can see what it looked like, not last year, but the year before. And then compare that to where we ended last year, the 21-22 school year. So 54% of our students scored, well, we scored 54% in language arts, 50% in math, and 54% in science. So we saw some growth there. I wanted to break that down for you so you can see for kind of a year, over the years, what that's looked like. And you can see the growth in the green with our language arts as well. So we had some significant growth, especially in our 3rd grade, that we're super proud of. Our math, you can see how that's broken down as well. Significant growth again in our 3rd grade with math. Our goal for our school improvement plan, for our trust land plan, was we wanted to see an increase of 3% on our RISE scores in math. And so you can see that we made that, except in our 6th grade. We had what I call negative growth. In science, our goal for our trust land, our school improvement plan, was that the students would increase 5% on the RISE test. And you can see we made that in 5th grade, but we had work to do in the 4th and the 6th grade. So I wanted to share this with you. These are the scores as well, but this shows how we compare to the district and the state. So the percentages in blue are where we've outscored the district and the state. So 3rd grade in language arts and math, we outscored the district and the state. In 4th grade in language arts and science, we outscored. 5th grade in math and science, and 6th grade in language arts and science. So we were pretty excited to see some scores going up. If you break that down into demographic groups, you'll see towards the bottom, we have our limited English students and our students with disabilities. You can see their scores are lower than some of the other demographic areas. And we know that those are 2 areas that we need to focus on for the RISE tests. So I wanted to share with you some Acadience data, or reading data. And this is for this year. I wanted to kind of show you our current reality. What you're looking at is the top line is the district, and the second line graph is Westridge. We want to see our students in the green and the blue. Green shows benchmark, blue shows above benchmark. So at the beginning of the year, we had 73% of our students at benchmark or above school-wide. And so I've broken that down for you into the grade levels. So you'll see 63% of our students in kindergarten are reading at grade level or above. And then I've broken that down just so you can see the students below benchmark. We had 6. Or we currently have 6. We have 24 students in that grade that are well below benchmark. And so each of these slides coming up, you're going to see that same kind of format. 1st grade, 66% of our students are at benchmark or above. 2nd grade, 76%. 3rd grade, 70%. 4th grade, 68%. And then 5th grade, we have 74%, and 6th grade, 91%. So with that, those are our composite scores, but I wanted to show you what our pathway of progress scores look like from last year. So Pathways of Progress is where we take the individual student's score. We look at where they started and where they ended. So it's growth for each individual student. Utah's uniform growth goal was that they wanted 60% of the students to make typical or better progress with Acadians. And so let me kind of explain this graph or these charts to you. The two middle sections is what you want to look at, the MOI fiscal year 22 and OI 22. The purple numbers show the grade levels that did meet the Utah growth goal. And then that first line shows Westridge data, the second is district data, so you can kind of see where we compare. For Acadians, the Pathway of Progress, we wanted all of our students, we wanted 80% of our students to be typical or above. And so if you look at kindergarten, that EOY for FY22, you can see 60.2% of the students made that Pathway of Progress. So we didn't hit our school improvement or our trust land goal. First grade, 78.4% scored at typical or above. Second grade, 58%. So our second grade did not hit the Utah growth goal or our school improvement goal. And then third grade, you see 89%. The other thing you want to look at is that EOY for fiscal year 21, and you can see the growth from the year before, how that kind of compares. In our upper grades, fourth grade, we ended the year 93%, 93.5% of the students hit that typical or better benchmark. Fifth grade, 88%, and then sixth grade, 92%. So we saw a lot of growth in reading in our upper grades last year. With math, this is our current math numbers. This is the Into Math measure for the beginning of the year. We have about 35% of our students on grade level. We've got about a third on grade level or above, a third approaching, and a third below. And then I broke that down for you so that you can see what each grade level looks like with where they are approaching or above and how far below. So you've got charts for K3 on this page, and then 4 through 6 on this page. So how we ended the year with the grading system is that with our achievement, we were identified as typical. With our growth, we were identified as exemplary. Our English language learner progress was critical. And so overall, when they took all of those scores into consideration, we scored a B for our grade, our school grade. So with that, our challenges and strategies. So Westridge has been identified as a TSI school, or a targeted support and improvement school, because of our students with IEPs and our EL or ML population not making enough growth. So definitely we're looking at increasing student achievement in language arts, math, and science. And some of the strategies we've implemented to get those scores moving higher, we have our K3 teachers and our special ed teachers that are going through the letters training, so learning how to be really good reading teachers. We've implemented 95% core in all K3 classrooms. And then we've really taken our research-based interventions and switched those to where teachers are leading those interventions this year. They're teaching those interventions rather than having a paraeducator do that. Last year and the last few years with COVID and everything, our interventions weren't as consistent as we liked because we were having to pull our paraeducators to teach, to sub. And so that meant that our students were not getting the consistent intervention. And so we've switched that up this year, and our K3 teachers are leading those interventions. It's been really exciting to see the growth that the students are having with that experienced teacher leading those interventions. Like I mentioned earlier, we have 2 all-day kindergarten classes this year. That's the first time in Westridge history that we've had an all-day kindergarten classes. And that's been really fun to watch these little 5-year-olds and their excitement all day long, or maybe their lack of excitement for being there all day long. It's just been really fun to watch and to see them understand how school works and that they don't have to go home at noon every day. So that's been a good help, and I'm excited to see the data as we move forward with all-day kindergarten in the next few years, what that's going to look like for our early age students. This year we also hired an additional second grade teacher because we realized that second grade is a critical grade for our school. We need some intensive support there. And so adding an additional teacher there is helped kind of reduce the class size. We know that class size doesn't mean everything according to research, but I had some extra funding, and so I used that to hire that extra teacher to see if we can get our second grade students moving. We're continuing our implementation of all of our district initiatives, learning targets, our success criteria, feedback. We're working on really extending learning, not just working with our students that are below level, but extending the knowledge of our students that are ready to move forward. And then we are doing a lot of progress monitoring and data analysis. The other challenge that we have from our data is we need more support for our students with IEPs and our English learners or our multilingual learners. So we are focusing on effective practice, not just for EL students, but for all students. And we've had some PD that is specifically targeted to helping English language learners, which helps all learners because all students are English learners, let's be honest. We're working on pull-out and push-in programs depending on student needs, so there's some extra support there. Making sure our general ed teachers know the accommodations for their students and making sure they're implementing those accommodations in all settings. And then just consistent team collaboration and school-wide collaboration. And like I said, that data analysis. So our points of pride, we're really excited about our RISE scores. We were 2.3 points from being an A school. And we celebrated that. But don't think that we're stopping there. We will be an A school. That is our goal. And the teachers have worked very, very hard to bring that data up, and we were excited to see that it's showing. With our TSI, we just found out that with our TSI status, we've moved from the bottom 5%. So our data and our growth was great enough this year that if we have one more year like we had this year, we'll no longer be identified as a TSI school. And my teachers do not know this yet, so I'm excited to tell them. So you guys are the first to hear that, unless they're watching, and then they know. So other points of pride, our all-day kindergarten classes, our 2 all-day classes, and then our morning class. We actually probably needed an afternoon class, but we didn't have the funding to do that. So that 28 number, that's just a lot of fun, exciting kids and makes every day an adventure. Our Wildcat values, we're very proud of those. And we are recognizing students that are showing those values. We do that with our Wildcat cards. And then a student that gets a Wildcat card, their parents get an email from me telling them that they've received a Wildcat card and why. And that's been a positive thing for parents because a lot of them didn't know that their child has received this recognition. Their names are read over the intercom, and then This year, you can see in this corner picture, they get to choose a book from the book vending machine, and that has been such an exciting moment, having that machine at our school this year. We have a pause room and a wellness room. Both of those rooms are rooms that help support students. And then we have wellness groups that our social worker will teach. Also, we've implemented, Westridge has always been, for many years, has been a STEAM or a STEM school. We changed that to STEAM this year because we have the art program, the BTS art program in our school. So it just seemed a natural thing to move to STEAM and call us a STEAM school. So while our teachers are getting, our K-3 teachers are getting the letters training, our 4th through 6th grade teachers are receiving training with Susie Cox. And some really, really great training, I need to add. So on Fridays, we have an hour that is dedicated in our 4th through 6th grades to STEAM Fridays, where they're learning coding, which is Scratch that they're learning robotics. They have our space lab that goes into the classrooms. There's engineering, and the fun thing this year is the programmable devices that they've been using. So you can see the mice and cheese in these pictures, and then up in the corners, the terracotta warriors that our 6th graders created. We also have a Wildcats Read program where we're sending home 70 books a month to families. Parents will do, and the families will do a book review, and then they send in a photo. And so that's been a popular thing. We started that last year, and it went over really well, so we're continuing that this year. We have our Kindness Club and our Hope Squad. We have our BTS art program, and then we have a lot of support for families. We have a full-time social worker, so thank you for supporting that. That has been an integral part of Westridge's success, I think. We have a principal pantry. We have the 512 food bags. We're sending home food over the weekend. So just a lot of support for students and their families. At this time of year, we have our community comes together and they provide Thanksgiving baskets for Thanksgiving dinners for some of our families, and that's always an exciting thing. We also have not just a principal's pantry, but we have hygiene supplies. So a lot of times, you know, our families will get help, state assistance, and they can buy food, but they can't buy the hygiene supplies with that money. And so we have those supplies. We have toothbrushes and combs and shampoo and those kinds of things for our families if they need that. And then kind of finally, and the most important, I think, our points of pride are our students. They are amazing, amazing children. They are full of joy and excitement every day. They work very hard, and it's just really a joy to be in their presence and to associate with them. I learn something every day. My motto is every day's an adventure, and it truly is. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to be able to go to work each day at Westridge and to be among these great students. So that's our story, and the very exciting thing is it's still being written, and we're super excited about the chapters that are coming in the future years. So thank you for allowing me to take some of your time tonight to share with you our story.
Good job. Good job.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Kay and
okay,
Rebecca.
yes.
Tell me what's going on in 3rd grade. Why?
Rock stars, right? So 3rd grade, you know, I think when you take over and you're put in a school, you kind of look at dynamics of teachers, and you put together good teams. And we have a really good team, a solid team. And those teachers work really hard. They collaborate really well. And so just getting the right teachers in the right places on the right teams, I think had a lot to do with it. And they work hard. They work hard. They are very good at sharing data and looking at that data on a weekly basis and implementing new learning items and remediating when needed.
Can I ask you a hard question?
Yes.
And you can say it's not fair. So one of the, I think the challenges throughout the district is that growth in English language learners.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's really hard to differentiate teaching, like sometimes we do with special ed. I don't know how else to sort of attract to, especially say in math. To me, that just seems like language abilities that when I see scores under 20 in the teens for English language learners in math, it seems maybe I need something taught in a different language. Do you think it would be acceptable to, if in our budget discussions, to talk about differentiating a salary for something plus a language in these early grades?
I think that could be very beneficial. I'll give you an example. We had a student that just started with us last week, and she does not speak any English. And the classroom that she's in, there are no Spanish speakers. And when she was registering, I was trying to get to know her and didn't realize she didn't speak the language. And of course, I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
So as I talked to her, she got up to come with me. And I was like, oh, no, because, she's not in school yet. So the first day when she came to school, here she is in this class, I'm in the classroom, and you could just see this panic on her face. And she ran back to me and started talking to me, and I was just like, I don't know what she's saying, but I know what she's saying, And so I ran and grabbed another Spanish speaker out of the grade level and said, can you just tell her it's okay, we're going to help her, follow what your table's doing, kind of watch what everyone's doing, and you're going to learn, and your teacher's going to help you. And that helped calm a little bit of fear, I think. So what I'm looking at doing now is I've just interviewed a Spanish speaker and hired her. And her job is going to be to go into these classrooms where we do have these non-English speakers and just help them understand. We're going to help them because I'm worried that they're going to give up before they have a chance to really understand. We can help them even though we can't communicate with you right now. So, and Westridge has had quite a few new to the country students this year. It's been really interesting to see those EL students come, and we're thrilled to have that. So I think it could be beneficial, something to look at. We always want them immersed in English. That's best practice. But I think a support, some support there would be helpful. And I can, tell you in a month and a half or so if my plan that I've got going on that should start this week, if it works, if I'm seeing any progress.
Great. Thank you.
I'm just curious about your second grade, where you have that extra teacher in there and
Yes.
you need an extra support. Maybe this is a leading question, but are these our COVID kids in that grade, or what do you feel like is going on in second grade?
So I think if you look, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with these people back here, I think district-wide our second grade struggles. And yes, I think part of it is COVID, and I think it's after COVID, they haven't had the instruction, so that's part of it. But I think with the 95% core being taught, the teachers are targeting and very specific, and it's very structured. I think we'll see the growth come now that we have a program that can teach a sequential a sequential program. I think it's going to come, but I think that's part of it. And so that's why I did hire that extra teacher, knowing historically second grade's low, district-wide it's low. What can we do to bring those scores up? Anything else? Well, before I leave, I was wondering if you could do a favor for me. So we would love to have you as part of our Wildcat Reads program. So I'd love to give you a book with our materials, and if you would be willing to read it with you or your family and do the review and send a picture, we'd love to put it on our bulletin board and say our school board are Wildcats at heart and they love to read too. If you'd be willing, is that okay? If you do, I always tell the kids you get to enjoy it again.
Sometimes it's a very good book.
By the way, Kim, you're a great principal. You've been in this district a long time. You should go back to your community and say your district must really love the Westridge community because, you know, they put a great principal here.
Thank you.
Promise them?
Very kind of you. Thank you.
I'm okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate it. All right, we have now reached the portion of our public input. If there's anyone that would like to address the board, on my right, your left is actually over here. If you see Bonnie, she will get you a sheet. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? Should we? Yeah, go ahead.
Kim, I have a quick question while we're waiting. On the Wildcats Reads program, do you always have everyone review the same book? Or is it different books? Or how do...
So each month it's a different book.
Okay.
So this month it's The Empty Pot.
Okay.
And then next month it'll be a different one.
And the families get to keep the books, or do they? Oh, they do. Okay.
So how do they opt in? Like, how do families decide to be?
Every family opted in, whether they wanted to or not. It's just an automatic opt-in.
I love it.
Yeah,
So fun.
We just select 70 every month.
70, that's awesome.
How fun.
It's been fun.
How many years have you been doing that? Or is this their first year?
Started last year, towards the middle of the year, and it was amazing. I had parents that actually emailed me this summer and said, "Hey, can I send some money? Would love to support this and get books in homes." And so I was like, I think we have the funding. We're okay, but thank you. You know, we'll keep your money for something else. But it's been really successful, and the kids have loved it.
That's awesome.
Well, keep it up. That's great. Thank you. Just as a reminder, if you're called to come up and speak to the board, if you would just address with your name and the area that you live in, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes. You could just hand it. Okay. All right, Angie Carter, we'll just call you now.
My name is Angie Carter. I live in Southeast Provo, and I just have two things that I'd like to address with the board. First, related to the superintendent search, I know that we're still waiting as a community on getting criteria, but one of the things that I think would be really important, just as I've been visiting around my area, is it'd be really nice if we had someone that would speak Spanish so that we can have that support for our Spanish-speaking families. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is now that Dixon is no longer going to be a middle school once the Lakeshore property is completed, it would be really important that we have something that maintains that community presence there. And so having some kind of educational use for the Dixon building and being able to restore it in some way so that we're not gentrifying that area would be important. I just wanted to bring that up to the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much for addressing this. All right, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? All right, I'm going to close our public input part. Next, we're going to approve policy 7140 on surveys and data collection. Keith, do you want to address that?
This is a new policy. We get asked to administer surveys from time to time. Some of them are internal, some of them are external. These are not really the panorama surveys or the sharp survey or those kinds of things. They're a completely separate matter, but these are ones that are let's say a research student at BYU or something like that, someone who wants to use the school district to collect data. So this governs that process. It's probably been a long time coming, and that's the purpose of this particular policy.
Okay, is there a motion on this?
I move that we approve policy 7140, surveys and data collection, as discussed in study session.
All right, motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Next, we need to discuss the SHARP survey, and I'm going to invite Doug Finch to come up and discuss that.
Thank you. This evening in front of you is the opportunity for you as a school district to determine your cooperation. I guess that's the word we'd use. This is the Utah Health and Human Services Department 20-year running survey of the assessment of the needs for preventative and responsive and other types of things we can do to strengthen the overall health and well-being of our community. And so agencies such as school districts can be cooperative in our participation, allowing this to be a survey that's offered in the 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade. And it's just a sample of our students. And I just want to make it clear for the public to hear and the board to reiterate, this is an active opt-in only. The only way that people will participate in this test or this survey will be if they opt in after receive a parent notification through the schools that will be participating, and they have to return that in order to have access. Also, as students participate in that assessment, they can skip or not take any of the questions that they don't feel comfortable taking. It's very much an invitational opportunity for us to contribute to data that I think contributes to organizations such as ourselves as we look at that data and take actions, particularly in student and family services, to see how we can help support this community, keep kids be healthy and well and ready to learn at school. So before you then is the opportunity for you to look at approving this for our administration this next springtime, and or do you have the opportunity to say that we will not participate, or that we can as a school district with enough notification, which we could do right now, we could modify our participation in the survey as well. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, is there a motion?
I move that we administer the SHARP survey in 2023.
Okay, is that motion made by Board Member Bryson? Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
One thing that we covered previously but didn't cover today, I just want to make sure that the people administering the survey are making very sure that students and families who have opted out do not get pulled to take the survey. And I think we've discussed it previously, and that was we were going to emphasize that if they did not actively opt in, that they will not be taking the survey, correct? Okay, that is an affirmative head nod for those of you who can see.
I also just wanted to add, for the benefit of the public, we received an email forwarded by our superintendent today from the Utah Suicide Prevention Coalition's Executive Committee, and they explained to us why they support the SHARP survey that allows them to measure teen substance use and mental health issues, along with risk factors that can help predict problem outcomes in youth. And they feel it's imperative to have this data to respond to the mental health needs of our youth and help design implementation of prevention and intervention strategies. And they consistently use this data to help bring funding to our state to address youth mental health. So I thought that was very helpful to have that information on how this data is used, and the way I will be voting, I do feel it's important that we continue to be a partner and help them get that data that they need.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next we need to approve the 2023-2024 calendar change. I'm going to invite Jason Cox to come up and discuss that.
Thank you for the opportunity. Recently at a meeting with other school districts, we realized that for the 23-24 school year, our spring breaks don't align. And so we've come back tonight asking that we amend the calendar to align with both Alpine and Nebo school districts so our students and teachers are out at the same time. And that is the only amendment. I apologize that there were some other changes on the calendar that we sent to you, but the only change that we're actually requesting is just to move the spring break 1 week earlier, not to change start date or Christmas break.
And that is spring 2024.
Yes, spring 2024.
All right, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the proposed calendar change for the 2023-24 calendar year as discussed in study session.
Motion made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Nielsen. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next we have the consent calendar. We'll make the motion and then we can ask questions. So is there a motion?
I move we approve the proposed, approve the consent calendar.
All right, motion made by Board Member Jensen. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Board Member Bryson. Any further discussion on this motion?
I do. Bonnie, were you able to make the changes to the 19th minutes? Okay, because the minutes that I saw still had Richard as being from USBE. Okay. As long as that has been fixed, then I'm fine. That's all my questions.
Okay. All those in favor indicate with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, I'm going to turn the time over to Board Member McKay Jensen for a board member report.
Could you project that, or can I email that? Great. One of my assignments is I'm the district representative in Technical College Board of Trustees. That position. So since I've had that position the entire time that I've been on the board, which they like because it's term limited. I am actually in my final term that I can serve, but because it's term limited for all the trustees, they like people who have that experience. I'm oddly the chair of that board as well, and so I'm kind of proud of it. They give me lots of swag, and that's an advantage. So that's an assignment that will likely come up for another board member sometime. In January if I'm not elected, or in a year when my term expires on that board of directors. So it's the board of directors is made up of the representatives of the school districts and industry. If you come from industry, this is a governor appointed position, and it has to be approved by the Senate. And so you mix with great people. I borrowed most of this data is a year old, but it gives you a good idea. Around 500 employees, 5 campuses, 7 buildings, 58 programs, covering 5,200 square miles in the three counties. That takes in 7 school districts, 27 high schools, and 31 charter schools that this group serves. Around 5,500 students. It goes up. that percentage of 73 adult certificate seekers versus 25 or 26 secondary students fluctuates a little bit at a time. So if the economy is doing well, we'll have more secondary students because adults will just go, I'm too busy, I want to work, I've got a job. If the economy goes down, we'll get more adults and fewer. And part of that is based on space and availability. Keep in mind that for secondary students, that tuition is free. And it is a tuition cost, but the cost to secondary students is entirely free, and they don't limit that. They only limit it around space, but there are waiting lists for some things. Some of their demographics, you know, you think of technical education as, oh, this is shop, mostly male, but this is everybody, including, you know, oddly, that in our latest class of welders, it's about the same male and female makeup. The oldest student at MTech a year ago was 82. They count some district administrators as students because there are some district administrators that wanted to qualify as bus drivers. And so there are lots of different people. This is our current board of directors, you know, everything from, you know, me in education to Vanessa Perez at Texas Instruments. You know, they're very active, some great people. The state likes us because when we graduate a student and they get a certificate, they're not in debt. They not only is it a good deal, they take out very few loans to get it. By the way, when the programs that are administered there have to qualify each year as being associated with a high demand, high salary job. If the school cannot demonstrate that you are fulfilling a high demand, high salary job, they say, we don't fund this program anymore, and it's taken away. And some of those have gone away. But some of those, you know, when you look at cosmetology, you go, is that high demand? Actually, it is, and it meets the threshold of high paying. Certainly, our CDL program, that you know you can do that. Some of those in 3 weeks, but that's a high paying job. Our welders are averaging, you know, this year they'll average six figures, and it's a high demand. Their placement rate is huge for each of those. If I could go back, maybe. Oh, wait, let me go back. You can see that our completion rate is 86%. Our placement rate is 86% as well. So if you finish, you're going to get a job. Most people get the job before they're done. So this is one of the reasons that the state thinks that they're so nifty. And we have all those partnerships that we saw in the CAPS presentation. That exists, you know, as far as our school district, but also with UVU. And that has gone to what I specifically wanted to point out to us, that with the free tuition, UVU has helped pioneer in the state sort of these articulating credits. So there are these various pathways, just like in the Clay Bingham talked about in CTE, there are these pathways that can also articulate into our universities, where you know, 22 of the 50-odd programs have credit-bearing pathways that they can go forward, and they're surprising. For example, you can become a welding technician, you can pass the proficiency test, you can take welding technology at UVU after that, and that will equal an associate's degree in business management. They will count those credits towards those things. And so if we encourage our CTE people to use MTech's credit, this is another concurrent enrollment option, because again, it is free, but there are direct pathways where this counts as college credit. And Arthur Newell talks about his daughter who did medical assisting while she was in high school, went on to UVU, and you know, her path into medical school began as a sophomore at American Fork High School in MTech. Because they offer phlebotomy, they offer surgical technicians, sterile technicians. They offer a lot of different things that when you get students there, welding, you can make a great degree, but if it turns out you have aptitude and you want to go in business, this might be a quicker way to get a business degree and have part of it paid for. And so it's something that we should be conscious of in when we're talking about technical schools, because their partnerships, they're aligned. These companies, Norco is a welding company. They annually give a donation to MTech that's about $1 million a year. So, and most of that is in equipment. Ford Motor Company gives MTech 9 cars a year, and some other testing equipment to go. That high demand mechanics job, they're in high demand. And they pay really well when you work at the dealerships. And every one of the graduates from MTech, they don't work at Jiffy Lube. They work at the dealerships. They make good money. Because of that's efficiency, MTech is growing. This will be our new campus in Payson, next to the freeway. By the way, that came on real estate that was donated by the city of Payson because they wanted a campus there. And this was fully funded by the legislature last year to the tune of $50 million, because obviously higher ed doesn't bond or ask taxpayers. We just asked the legislature, and so some of my legislative experience is just asking for large chunks of money, which I wish I could ask for Provo School District, but this was one of our wins, and so that's fully funded and is about ready to have groundbreaking and construction. Our next little bit was, it turns out there's 10 and 3/4 of an acre in the Heber Valley, and they offered it to MTech for $3 million, and MTech bought it because that's a pretty good deal. And we will be pursuing about $70 million to build an additional campus in Heber. We argue all the time that, so if we accommodate 675 students, this is going to have $129 million in economic impact. And this is what the state likes. And so this project, even though it sort of came out of the blue, and when you go in higher ed, they rank you on whose project is the best. Ours project is number one in going into the legislative session. And so typically we don't get money one year after the next because there are everything from the University of Utah to everywhere else. But I'm feeling pretty good about this project being funded this next year. It happens to be right next door to the high school that Wasatch School District wants to build. And that's
that would be
so convenient.
So we're part of their bond campaign to say, look at what you're going to get. The state is also going to invest $70 million in this place. You can see the planned high school, and we're off. MTech would be the building off to the right there. MTech has their Provo campus, which was the Quartz building. So the problem with the Quartz building was that when MTech inherited the Quartz building, they say, we gave you a Quartz building. You have to, instead of going to the legislature, just figure it out in your budget. So renovation has been going floor by floor, but the floor was completed 2 years ago. The first sort of program that went in there was medical assisting. They made a special effort that they would do Hispanic single mothers, which they had a cohort that was in this building of 31 students. Every one of them had a job before they finished the program, and it was a great thing for downtown. We are now to the second floor and beginning plans for the third. But this is a campus that's available, and again, if we can, when you see the type of money that goes in, $70 million to accommodate 600 students, that's a slightly different ratio than what we have at Provo High. But it's money that the state is willing to spend, and so if we can make use of that money by our relationship with MTech, that might be. And I know that Clay Bingham works awfully close with Clay Christensen, the president, and on how to do that. But if there's an understanding from our academic people that you can make a pretty good living and go to school as a phlebotomist and study anything you want. We're not limiting. There's the idea around technical education that we're getting you here and getting you gone, and we're going to limit your ceiling. This is just a step along the way and is helpful. But it's something that we should be proud of to be involved in. We have a really close relationship, and I'm proud to be part of them. That's why I put their logo on my email signature, and I wear their swag sometimes. My wife doesn't like the steak knives they give, but when that opportunity for somebody else comes on the board, please take that seriously, because it's something that serves our community really, really well and does good things for our community and for our students. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Board Member Jensen. I really appreciated that. I didn't understand all of the ins and outs of that, so thank you. So, Superintendent.
3 items. One, I have approved one out-of-state travel. This is an out-of-state one, and usually those come to the board, but I've approved these year after year after year. This is a cross-country trip from Provo High School, and they're going to Walnut, California. Secondly, I have to think about what that was. I didn't write it down. I'll tell you what the third one is, and it's Caleb. While Caleb is coming up, I will send you an email tomorrow about what Caleb's talking about here with a little bit more detail. But Caleb will share with you a fun thing that's going to go on, I believe, next week.
Yeah, so next Thursday on, I think it's November 17th, KUTV's partnering with 5 school districts in the state to do a food drive. And so our day is the 17th. So from 3 until about 6:30, they're going to be at Centennial. We've been coordinating with KUTV and with Doug and Student Services to get this put together. We're going to have a bunch of our Student Services personnel there, social workers, student family advocates. We're going to have the student governments from Timpview and Provo High there. And as the food drive's happening, KUTV will be broadcasting live on their different evening broadcasts. And so each of these groups will have a segment. KUTV agreed to promote and advertise Provo High's canned food drive and Timpview's Suffer Santa campaign. So each of them will get a segment dedicated directly to that. And so we wanted to let you know about that. There isn't a need for you guys to do anything, but it's a cool, fun event for you guys to be able to come and see. They've started their advertising on their platforms and network already. They came down last week and we took them to Timpanogos and Independence, showed them the food pantries over there. They'll be running a preview story about our district this Thursday on their 4:30 broadcast. So you can see kind of the social workers and the principals talked about how the food pantries work, the needs that our community sees, especially where here in Provo, not everybody realizes that the need is as high as it is. And so it's a really cool, good event that we're doing with them, and we wanted to make you guys aware of that.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
I did remember the other one. I just wanted the board to know that with about 7 months left, I have started my farewell tour. I'm going around to different schools and talking with their faculties, and essentially my message is just to say thank you. The teachers, the staffs of our schools, both in the schools and throughout the district, have been very good to me, and I just want to express my gratitude to them for the good work we've been able to do together. So I just wanted you to know if you are trying to reach me and I'm not in my office, chances are I'm talking to a faculty at that particular time. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. We've come to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it stopped working.